At-Risk has many built-in features for Monte Carlo simulation, but arguably its most useful overall feature is its ability to store values in designated output cells as the simulation runs, and then report them in various graphical and tabular ways later on. To make this work, you have to designate cells you want At-Risk to keep track of as output cells. You have probably already done this, or you have learned how to do it in the At-Risk Quick Start videos. The current video will expand on some of the possibilities. The model shown here, which is based on one of the At-Risk example files, illustrates some possibilities. The random values in the cells with green font and the Excel formula logic in rows 20 to 23 lead to the net present value, or NPV, in cell C26. This is the output you probably want At-Risk to keep track of. To designate it as an At-Risk output cell, you select this cell and click the Add Output button on the At-Risk ribbon. This brings up the following dialog box, where you can provide a name for the output that will appear in At-Risk charts and reports. If the suggested name is suitable, you can simply click OK. Then the formula in cell C26 changes to include the risk output function with no arguments. Alternatively, if you change the name in the dialog box, the risk output will have one argument, the name you specify. Another alternative is to specify a cell with a label that has the name you want. Then the address of this cell becomes the argument of the risk output function. The advantage here is that you can change the label at a later time if you like. Now the argument is cell B26, this label. As one last alternative, you can click the FX button in the Add Output dialog box. This allows you to specify more properties, such as the units. In this case, the risk output function includes corresponding property functions, such as risk units, as extra arguments. Property functions are described in more detail in the Property Functions video in the Guided Tour series. You can designate as many at-risk output cells as you like, and At-Risk will keep track of each of them during the simulation. However, you are not limited to single-cell outputs. You can designate an entire range of related output cells, often a time series. For example, you can select the range of sales prices in row 21 and click the Add Output button. The resulting dialog box is slightly different from the dialog for a single cell. Now the name at the top is a name, which you can change, for the entire range. Actually, the italic indicates that this name is a label in an adjacent cell, in this case the label in cell B21. Once you click OK, each cell in the sales price range has its own risk output function. For example, the risk output function for the sales price in year 3 is shown here. It turns out that the risk output function reserves its second and third arguments for situations like this. The second argument specifies the name of the output range, in this case the label in cell B21, and the third argument specifies the position of this cell in the range, the third cell. The advantage of specifying a range of output cells is that it is quicker than specifying each cell individually. Besides, they can all share the same name. Then when you run the simulation, you can request a summary chart of the entire range. This button, Summary Chart, and I will get the entire range of sales prices. Here it shows the time series behavior of the sales price. If you decide you don't want a cell to be designated as an at-risk output cell, there are several ways to remove it from the list. First, you can manually delete the risk output function from its formula. Now it's not a risk output cell. I'll undo that. Second, you can click the Add Output button and then click Remove. I will add that one again so I can remove it another way. Third, you can click the Model Window button to see a list of all at-risk outputs. Then you can right-click any one of them and select Delete. To remove any output range from the list, you can right-click the name of the range and then select Delete.